one of the ideas that different artists expressed to me was there are, of course, different ways of looking at how long is a long time, and what do we concern ourselves with if we want to live longer, if we want to think about what's permanent or long-term. Kathy Hall's piece here called Grit and Vinegar is really makes a little pictorial landscape out of little plastic bags filled with apple cider vinegar and red wine and antioxidant herbs and spices from around the world, things like cayenne pepper and turmeric that are supposed to prolong longevity. So she's showing us ways of preserving via consuming, and that one thing that happens is that we can consume things that will preserve our longevity, and they may be just as natural as the things that we are consuming for other reasons, but they are a kind of global mix of potions that are intended to keep you going. And the idea of the grit and the vinegar fits awfully well with what people said about feisty old people when I was growing up. They would say they had a lot of grit and that they were full of vinegar. But all these things are rather evanescent, and Charles Mary Kubrick, on the other hand, has been examining for several years her relationship to a mountain outside her studio window. It's Mount Livermore near Marfa, and that's a mountain where there's evidence of human activity, if not habitation, for several thousand years. It's under scrutiny and observation now in a lot of ways that casual visitors aren't aware of. And Charles Mary has taken photographs of the landscape there, both up close in the form of plants, rocks, lichen, and grasses, and also some of the larger landscapes that show the towers that monitor the motion sensors, for example, that are in place to detect human movement. You don't observe the motion sensors, but they can observe you. So on this mountain, there's an extraordinarily rich matrix of evidence of life, including human life, and the traversing of this mountain over thousands of years. Evidence is left behind, such as arrowheads and other implements, but also the tracks and the sounds that the Border Patrol investigates as part of their ongoing screening and observation of this natural area, both to interdict drug traffic and to turn back undocumented immigration. Charles Mary's piece includes not only a number of her still photographs, but also several video screens on which you can observe for yourself some of the motion that goes on the mountain. And there's also testimony from interviews with various people who are involved in this whole process of ongoing but almost invisible observation of this changing landscape. There's a lot of landscape in this exhibition, actually, but I think that it functions in a lot of different ways. One of the most interesting things about putting the exhibition together was that I started by having conversations with artists. I didn't start with a fixed idea of what the show would look like at all, nor necessarily exactly what the theme would be. Instead, I started by consulting a long list of Houston women artists, and I focused on those that I knew had been particularly active at some time or another in some of the feminist art activism that began in Houston in 1978. The Houston Women's Caucus for Art, the Houston Guerrilla Girls. Nobody knows who the Guerrilla Girls were, I don't either, but you can sort of figure out who some of the people might have been. And the Women's Drum Corps, which came after that, which was a large performance group that did political performance actions. So I began with that group, and I began with them because of the desire to have an anniversary show recognizing the 30 years of activism among Houston women artists, and also because I thought this group would probably be thinking about questions of identity and relationship in ways that I personally could relate to. So we started out just having conversations. And people told me what they were doing in their work, how they felt about the difference between the work they made then and now, how they thought their age had affected, if it had affected, their professional opportunities, as an artist. And out of those conversations, people actually began making work that was a result of conversations, which was very exciting for me because it meant that the show, rather than being fixed and predetermined by an idea that I had, actually came about through a process that involved dialogue with all the artists in the exhibition, and then we both went back to our respective studios, so to speak, and turned it over in our minds and thought about what we had heard, and in some cases they looked at their existing work in slightly different ways. In some cases they made new work, but everyone in the exhibition was told, and I meant it, that this exhibition would consist exclusively of artists who all felt clearly that what they were about in their work was related to the theme of the exhibition. And the theme became time. Time considered as spiritual time, biological time, familial time, I guess you'd say genealogical time, meditative time. I think I had thought of lots more levels of time, historical time, archaeological time. All these ways that I saw individual women across quite a large age span establishing a perspective that started from their own individual interests, their own personal experience, and incorporated that into their work, but transcended it, often on a very large scale, by beginning with the personal and moving out to relationship with something very much larger than simply even the longest imaginable span of somebody's life.